We'll start with 3 ohms. Om. Om. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahanao Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Viddhishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are studying this text called as Saddarshanam from Swami Ramana Maharishi. This is a wonderful text to understand our mind and go very deep into the mind. The whole study of Saddarshanam is a study of the human mind and what lies beyond the mind. Very, very deep study for one who has done meditation and who is continuing dhyanam on a regular basis. He will enjoy this study more. Those who practice meditation, they will find immense benefit from the study of this text. This tells us how do we navigate once we cross the frontiers of the human body. And then we are in the realm of the human mind. Once we are in the realm of the human mind, how do we go deeper into the core of our personality, which is called as Atma? So Ramana Maharishi is a champion in this, and he has done tremendous amount of effort in his lifetime in studying the human mind and going and realizing his own nature, which is Atma or Sat Darshana. We have finished up to verse number 6 in the last 3 sessions, in the last 2 sessions. And just a quick revision. The first verse talks about the ultimate definition of what is Sat. Sat means the ultimate reality or the substratum for the entire universe, which is called as the awareness consciousness principle. This consciousness principle is beyond the mind. Therefore, we say that there are no thoughts in awareness. Awareness is without any objects, gross objects of the universe. It's without any subtle thoughts of the universe. That is how Sat is defined. Sat means pure consciousness, pure existence. So the first verse tells us the goal, the destination of our study in this text. From second verse onwards, the author starts telling us what are the steps we follow in this journey. In the second verse, he says that the knowledge of the ultimate reality destroys Bheda, destroys plurality of our vision, and substitutes Abheda, which is non-difference. That abheda, that non-difference nature of ours is immortal. That is what is said in the second verse. The third verse tells us that this Sat is the Adhishtanam. This is the substratum for this body and mind complex. It is the substratum for the entire world which we see through the five sense organs. It is a substratum, number one. Number two, it is Advaitam. Advaita means non-dual. Non-dual means there are no two consciousness. There are no two existences. There is only one consciousness, one awareness principle. In that substratum, the entire world is superimposed. How does this superimposition happen? Exactly like the movies are superimposed on the screen of the TV. In our mobile, we see movies. We see the whole world. We see videos in the mobile. Now, the mobile screen is the Atma, without any impressions, with a blank screen. On that blank screen, you see a video. That video is nothing else but the entire waking state, or the dream state, or the sleep state. The video comes and goes, but the screen remains constant. The waking state comes and goes, it's like one video. The dream state comes and goes, second video. The sleep state comes and goes, it is the third video. The three videos are nothing else but the projections of the human mind. The human mind is projecting thoughts of the world, of objects in the waking, and it is also projecting thoughts in the dream. When this projection stops, that is what we call as the sleep state. Very beautiful. Third verse describes that the self in me is the Adhishtanam for all my experiences. So one thing which we must have is Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. Faith in the scriptures. Faith in what Ramana Maharishi is revealing to us. When Ramana Maharishi says that there is a screen of Atma in all of us, we must acknowledge that and say, yes, my study is to discover the screen without the superimposition of the body, the mind, and the world. Then verse number 4 tells us, how do I understand this pure existence? In this verse, he says, whenever I have the I notion, which is the mind, with the awareness principle, that is called as unreal. Unreal is a word used in Vedanta, and that word is in Sanskrit, it is called as mithya. And then he says, when we are in a condition without the I notion, which is beyond the sleep state, that condition is the real condition of myself. The real condition of myself is the same self, which is the condition. The self behind me is the self behind you, is the self behind your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, your sister, your neighbor. It is a self. There is only one self which is beyond the human mind. There's only one self. This is how the scriptures describe that beautiful Sat principle. That is what is said in the verse number 4. This verse number 4 is a very important verse, and you must remember this verse. This concept comes again and again in these 44 verses. The same verse number 4 will be repeated again and again. So you must keep this verse at the back of your mind all the time while studying this 44 verses. Again, I repeat, what is Satyam, the truth, is my own self, which is without the I notion, which is what is my nature when I am in my sleep state. It's my intrinsic nature. The mind has gone to sleep, and then I am existing as pure existence, pure consciousness. And that is also pure bliss. Once I know that that is my real nature, then all other study of these 41 verses becomes very easy. Because on this fourth verse is based the entire balance verses. So this is like the proposition which Swami Ramana Maharshi is making, which he will expand, and he will try to convince us more and more about this state without the I notion. Then we go to verse number 5, and here it says Advaita Jnanam and what is experience. What is Jnanam and what is experience? Jnanam means knowledge. Experience is always with the mind. Jnanam can be without the mind. Experience is always with the mind. For example, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. I have this knowledge all the time. Whether I bring it out in the manifest form or not, that knowledge is always there. Similarly, the knowledge that I am this Sat principle is always there. I don't have to again remind myself. That is knowledge. Once I have learned that my status, my real status is without the I notion, without the Ahamkara. Without the Ahamkara, I am without the principle of time and place. And then here we studied that there are 3 types of discussions which are possible. One in which if you remember, Vitanda, Vada, we described those 3 types of discussions. One in which we keep on saying that I am right, I am right. The second is to keep on saying you are wrong, you are wrong. And the third one is to come to a level which is called as Vada or Samvada, where we both try to understand not what you are right and what I am wrong, but what is commonly, universally right. When I try to understand the common principle, the common understanding between you and me, that is called as Samvada. So Ramana Maharishi says, have that attitude of Samvada, which is what is there in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a Samvada between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So Lord Krishna is trying to explain the reality to Arjuna through the method of Samvada. Samvada is always a dialogue. It is not a monologue. It is a dialogue. Where Arjuna asks the questions, Lord Krishna clears the doubts, Again, Lord Krishna teaches. Again, Arjuna asks a question. So this is called as Samvada. So this is the principle which is Ramana Maharishi is using here while teaching us the Saddarshanam. In verse number 6, which we covered last week, Ramana Maharishi says that the way I perceive this whole universe depends on the I notion. If the I notion is sattvic, that means I have a sattvic ahamkara, as said in the Bhagavad Gita, then the vision I will have of the universe will be sattvic. Sattvic means what? It is pleasant. Suppose the ahamkara is tamasic. Tamasic means dull. Then the vision of the world I will have is, it's a very tamasic world. Everywhere I will see misery. Everywhere I will see sloppiness. Everywhere I will see the negative side. So my vision will depend on my I notion, which is the ahankara. So last week we were discussing this, and towards the end of verse number 6, I presented a chart. I will show you the chart again. This is where we stopped last week. Very important chart. To keep this at the back of our minds. Many people, while studying the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, they always ask me, how do I differentiate between the Sakshi, Atma, and Ahamkara, the mind? All serious students will one day ask this question. The answer to that lies here in this chart. It's a very beautiful presentation. If you go through step by step, you will understand and you will be getting clarity of the knowledge of Sat or Atma. Sat is nothing else but another name for Atma. It is another name of my core personality. It's your core personality, it's your father's core personality, it's your grandmother's core personality. Only thing is they are ignorant. And we are trying to understand my ignorance. I want to remove about who am I. All of us identify ourselves as Ahankara. Ahankara is a common name for all of us. Common name. And what does this Ahankara consist of? I will go through 1 to 9 of Ahamkara and I will go through 1 to 9 of the Aham so that it becomes easier. Ahankara, which is all we know already, so it will be easy for us to identify this element in us. Number 1, identified with 3 states. So we all say, I slept, I have woken up, I had a good dream. This is my Annamaya Kosha. This is my prana. This is my manaha. This is my understanding the intellect part. This is my bliss. I had a great sleep, very blissful sleep. This is my gross body. This is my subtle mind. This is my Karana Shariram, where I store all my punyam and papa. So that is the first point. All of us, we know that this is what I am. Then, Sagunam. Sagunam means with attributes. With attributes of color, with attributes of a name, form, all these are attributes. I am very fair, I'm very dark, I'm very beautiful, I'm tall. All these are all sagunam with gunas. Then The gunas can be of the mind also. Gunas can be I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm old, I'm young. These are all gunas. That is why it is called as saguna. So whenever I say this, whenever I identify this, we must know that this is ahamkara. This is what is called as the I notion. The third is I am here in Singapore, I am in India, I am in the US. This is with reference to the place where the body is, where the I notion finds the body. That is what is called as ahamkara. I am limited in time. That means today is so and so. I'm in the 30th year, and the 50th year, and the 60th year. I'm limited by time because I identify with the body. Atma has no time. We'll come to that later. Then Drishyam. We have seen Drigdrishya Viveka. Everything which I see in the world is through this ahamkara, through this I notion. All the objects I see in the world is with reference to the sense organs in my body. Without going through the sense organs, I will not be able to see anything in the world, not perceive anything. So all drishyam, the seen, is through this ahankara. Dvaitam, which is mithya darshanam. Dvaitam means I am the body and I see the world, which is different than me. This is what is called as ahamkara. This ahamkara is always insecure. It's insecure because by nature it is insecure. Because by nature, ahamkara disappears in sleep. And then again it appears in waking. Again it takes a new form in dream. So this I notion is always chanchalam. It's always changing, all the time changing. Not only changing with reference to one's life, one's three states of consciousness, it's also changing with reference to body and body. It drops one body and takes another body. That is the beauty of this ahankara. Just takes another body. And then again it goes through 100 years. Again takes another body. This is what the Shastras tell us. Therefore, it is insecure, always insecure. Karta and Bhokta, this ahankara is a karta. It's a doer. All the time I say, oh, I did a wonderful job today. I cleaned my house. I made a great dish today. This is all ahamkara. The I notion in the body, in the mind, is what is the karta. And I enjoyed a lovely meal. I enjoyed an air-conditioned atmosphere. I enjoyed a nice movie. I enjoyed a nice dish. These are all the ahamkara, which is the I notion in the body. Happiness and sadness. I was happy in the morning. I was very, very happy yesterday. But today I'm not so happy. So this happiness and sadness is to do with the mind, the thoughts in the mind. It is the thought in the mind which says, I'm having a good time. I am understanding the talk. It is the thought. So that is the eighth point. The last one is sarupaha, that means with form. The I notion is always connected with the body with the form. It is connected with the vrittis which have got forms. Moda, pramoda, vrittis which have different forms. Priya, moda, pramoda are the vrittis, are the thought forms when I am happy, happier, happiest. So these are the 9 points. If you have understood the ahamkara well, now let us go to the aham. Compared to the ahamkara, which is always changing, the aham never changes. And it is always without the identification with the body or the states or the 5 koshas. That's the first point. Then the second point is it is nirgunam. That means it doesn't have any gunas. Gunas belong to the body, or it belongs to the mind. And at a deeper level, gunas can be belonging to the punya papa, which is the karana sharira. This aham is limitless. That means it doesn't get affected by time. This aham is a changeless principle. It never changes. It is always constant. What is constant in me throughout my childhood, youth, adulthood, old age, it is the same. Aham, 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 aham. I am existent, I am conscious. This feeling of I am never changes. It is the observer, it is the sakshi, it is the seer, it is never the seen. It is always Advaita Darshanam. That means when I am having the vision of this Sat principle, Aham principle in me, it is called as Advaitam. There is no duality in it. It is very secure because it is unaffected, unconnected with anything which is changing. It is akarta abhokta. It is not an enjoyer. It is not a doer of action. Ever happy. It never goes into sad state because sad state belongs to the mind. It is always without the mind. Ashariram, it doesn't have any body, but it is existing. Ever happy, that is its nature. Arupaha, it is formless. So it is diametrically opposite to the Ahamkar. As we try to bring these two aspects of Atma, this is nothing else but Atma, Anatma, Viveka. So what is being presented is Atma, Anatma, discrimination. So this discrimination, we should learn to do it as we try to grow in spirituality. The more we understand these two aspects clearly, the more the Atma Nishtha will grow in us. I am that pure consciousness, that feeling inside us will grow. This is what is called as the growth in spirituality. The growth in spirituality is when I learn to drop or reduce my ahamkara status and hold on to the new status which the scriptures are revealing to me. Till I came into the scriptures, I never knew about Atma. How to look at Atma, how to have a vision of that Sat, pure consciousness, pure existence principle. So that was verse number 6. Today we'll start with verse number 7. 7, 8, and 9. These three verses teach us how do we experience the world of plurality. That means our entire experiences in the waking state is being described. And what this is saying is, it is basically the description of Pancha Koshas. The 5 Koshas which we have seen in Tattva Bodha, it is exactly the same analysis which is being done by Ramana Maharshi. So what does he say in the 7th verse? He says, apart from this 5 koshas, does the world shine for me or not? And then he says, let me explain. And he is asking the question, without the 5 koshas, which is made up of this body, who can perceive this world? This is not a question, but an answer. That means without the 5 koshas, I cannot perceive the world. This Jagrat Avastha, this waking world, which I am calling it as real, cannot be perceived if the 5 koshas, the dress which I wear, are not available to me. That is the basic condition. So perception with 5 koshas is plurality. Perception without 5 koshas is reality. See, Ramana Maharishi makes this entire exercise of revealing our own higher nature in a very, very simple methodology. Like Drigdrishya Viveka by Swami Vidyaranya, Ramana Maharishi follows a similar style and teaches us through this I notion, I experience the world. Without the I notion, I exist as Atma, but I don't experience my body, mind, sense organs, and the world. This particular conclusion which is mentioned here is very important conclusion to understand Atma. The Aham and Ahamkara, again, there is an analysis. There is a, with reference to different points, we do this analysis continuously in all these 44 verses. What he says is, in sleep, I am Atma, and it is with Jnanam. There is no God, there is no world, no form for Aham. It is formless in nature. That is our intrinsic nature. The world also is formless in its intrinsic nature. The world, when we look at it, the world intrinsically, we call that as pure existence. Pure existence is what is called as Sat. And Saddarshanam is a vision of that pure world without the name and form. That pure Sat is the same as the pure consciousness in me. I am conscious, I am conscious. But all of us have the feeling it is constantly there. Nobody can say that I am not conscious. This consciousness can be with the abhimana, that abhimana means identification, with the body or without the body. When it is without the body, it is called as samanya jnana, generalized knowledge, unparticularized knowledge. When I know that I am that, then I am called as jnani, a wise person who has realized his true nature, who knows how to eliminate the division between him and the world, him and others, who has eliminated his ahamkara. This is the aham side. What is the ahamkara side? Ahamkara side is the exact opposite. Ahamkara is always experienced in Jagrat and Swapna. That means without I notion, I cannot have a waking state. Impossible. Without I notion, that means I am. Without that I notion, I cannot have a Jagrat or dream state, waking or dream state. And this waking or dream is always with mind, with name, with form. That means I am Suvarna, I am Jacqueline, I am Chitra, I am so and so. So this is with name and form. There is a form of the body. I am male, I am female. I notion comes together with all the attributes. And these attributes are all anatma attributes. They are all superimposition on the atma, on the aham, the pure aham, which we have described in the left-hand side. With the identification to the body, This pure Aham, which exists in sleep, that pure Aham is called as Jeeva. That means what? Jiva exists without the body as pure consciousness. Jiva is the name given to that pure consciousness when it is awake to it, the state of waking. And in the waking state, the world which is seen is called as God. And it is called as Karanam. Karanam means it is the cause of this body. The world of five elements is the cause for the body's existence. All the bodies, they breathe the air, one common air. You breathe the same air, I breathe the same air principle. Therefore, both of us can be said we are both equal, we are both common. With reference to the Prana Shakti. Your Prana Shakti keeps your body alive. My Prana Shakti keeps my body alive. The Prana Shakti is the common element between you and me. But here, that Prana Shakti is called as God. It is the cause of this entire universe which we experience. So without the Jiva, this I notion, there is no Jagat, there is no world. Panchakosha identification is Ahamkara identification. Whenever I am identified with my I notion in this mind and body principle, I am called as Ajnani. Ajnani means I am not a wise person. I am ignorant person. So what is the world we experience? Is the world we experience, if you ask the question is, the world we experience is nothing else but the I notion in the body through which I experience the world. That is what Ramana Maharshi is trying to say in this verse. Then in this 8th verse, this is a continuation. 7, 8, and 9 are the same continuation of the same. How do we all perceive this universe? The 8th verse says that the entire world of 5 sense objects is illumined by the sense organs, which we know. The sense organs are in the control of the mind. Therefore, we say that the world is made up of the mind. See how beautifully he goes step by step. He says the world is nothing but the 5 sense objects. What are the sense objects? Form, sound, touch, taste. These are all the forms of the 5 sense organs. Now, the sense organs, how do they operate? They operate on the power, on the Shakti behind the sense organs, which is the mind. Therefore, we say that the world is nothing else but it is made up of the mind. So the cause of the world is what? The effect is the world, the cause is the mind. So existence of the sense objects and the universe is determined, or it's proved, is validated by the sense organs. The sense organs are validated by the mind. And the mind is validated because of the Sakshi. When I say mind here, we must remember the mind is the I notion. When I say Sakshi here, it means Aham. It's a step-by-step teaching of how to arrive at that pure consciousness principle. See, this type of method is generally not found in the Upanishads or neither in the Bhagavad Gita. Because this is coming from a realized master of our century. He knows the human problem which we are facing today. Our sense organs are extremely powerful today. They are all caught up with the mobile phones, and our whole life is spent on the mobile phone. WhatsApp. We do all our transactions through the mobile, constantly engaged. But this is a methodology to get us away from the mobile to the core of our personality. The senses depend on the mind for its existence and functioning. The entire world which we experience is through the thought, and the mind functions only in vritti form. Vritti means thought form. All the objects, the sense objects, they reach the mind only in the form of thoughts. It is a thought of the sound. It is a thought of the form. It is the thought of the taste when it reaches the mind. That perceptibility of the five sense objects is in the form of thoughts. And thoughts are nothing else but a projection of the mind. When the objects are in tune with our likes, we call it joy. When they are not, or when they are not in tune with our like, but they are disliked by us, it creates a sensation of sorrow. Whether it be friends, whether it be any fear which comes, all this, whether it is success, whether it is failure, all this comes to us in the form of thoughts in the mind. They're all projections of our own mind. So perceptions are thoughts which reach the mind. The response to the perception, either like or dislike or indifference, is another thought. It is a response to the sense objects. So this stimuli coming in the form of thoughts into the mind, and our responses to that stimuli constitute our entire transactions throughout our life. Throughout our life, there is nothing else but this transaction. This is what in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, and he says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitosna sukha agama pahino nityaha, tam titikshasva bharata. The sense objects and the sense organs are interacting, have the titiksha, have the endurance to go through these transactions. Very beautifully, that is what Ramana Maharshi is bringing into this particular verse. So the mountains, the rivers are all ultimately reaching our mind, and then we perceive it. The whole cosmos is basically nothing but Jeeva Srishti. Jeeva Srishti means it is created by God for the jivas to come and go through the likes and dislikes, punyam and papam, and exhaust their prarabdha. So the Lord creates and projects the total world. The Lord, like me, has got a total mind, which is called as Hiranyagarbha, which we have seen in Mandukya Upanishad. The gross form is called as Virat form, which is called as the Vishwarupa form of the Bhagavad Gita. Then the subtle mind, which creates the gross forms, like we have a subtle mind, the Lord also has a subtle mind. His mind is called as the cosmic mind, which is called as the Hiranyagarbha. Like we have Punya Papam, the whole world together has Punya Papam, that is called as Karana Prapancha. So the three Sharirams and the three Prapanchas are nothing but an image of each other. And that is what we call it as cosmos. And what is Jeeva Srishti? Jeeva Srishti is nothing but the individual likes and dislikes. That means you may like an ice cream, I may not like an ice cream. That is our individual likes. This is what is called a Jeeva Srishti. I have a liking, I have the tendency. That tendency is called as is a tendency of a Jiva, is a Srishti of a Jiva. He creates his own world. You create your own world of medicine. I create the world of law. Somebody else is an engineer. Somebody else is a software engineer. Somebody is a chef, great chef. Somebody is a great teacher. So all of us, we create our own individual Srishti. In your mind, you create a world of your own. I create a world of my own in my mind. The quality experienced depends on the experiencer. The quality of the mind, quality of the world which is experienced by each one of us, it depends on the experiencer, the I notion. The I notion, which is also called as Ahamkara. The prapancha, that means the 5 sense objects, are common to all of us. It is common. The world is common to all of us, but the way we perceive the world is different because of our likes and dislikes. The existence of the world depends on the sense organs. Who gives the power of the mind to operate the sense organs or the mind? Ultimately, the power lies with the Atma. That pure Aham, that pure consciousness is the power behind the mind. This is what we are in search of. Step by step, Ramana Maharishi is teaching us, how do I go deeper and deeper into my mind? I cross over the Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is not in the realm of Ramana Maharishi's teaching. Ramana Maharishi's teaching starts with Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then he goes to Anandamaya Kosha and then Atma. What is Ahamkara? It is called as reflected consciousness in the mind. I'll go through the technical portion first. For those who have done Tattva Bodha, it'll be easy. For those who have not done Tattva Bodha, you may have to go to Tattva Bodha to understand this reflected consciousness, original consciousness and all that. It is explained in my series of 5 talks which I gave on Tattva Bodha. It is available in the YouTube. So basically, consciousness is just called as Atma. It exists purely by itself. That original consciousness, Atma, is reflected in the mind. When it gets reflected in the mind, the reflected consciousness with the mind, which is a reflecting media, together is called as Ahamkara. This is the definition of Ahamkara in Vedanta. When I remove the mind mirror as in sleep, then the reflection goes away. What remains is the original consciousness remains in sleep. That is what is said. Technically, Ahamkara becomes Aham in sleep. That Kara element you have to drop. Practically, how do we see it? When mind is in action, the I notion is present. The I notion is called as Ahamkara. On the left side, I told you technically how does it happen. That means there is an Atma, that reflection falls in the mind. This is all technical by nature. Why do we define this technically? In order for me to realize that pure consciousness. Vedanta is a science designed to explain the Upanishads, to realize the truth of the Upanishads, revealed in the Upanishads. So it's a technology. Vedanta is a technology used to unravel the mysteries of the Vedas, which define the ultimate truth of the entire universe as pure Sat Chit Ananda. So practically when mind is in sleep, the I notion is absent. That is called as Nirvikalpa Anubhava, experience, when no I notion exists. In the yoga philosophy, a lot of effort is made to reach the same state of the sleep state during the waking state itself by a process called as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta Vritti Nirodha means consciously I try to use some methodology to drop this I notion. And that when I do that through the process of the yoga, it is called as samadhi. What Vedanta says is don't struggle in it. No need to struggle in samadhi during the waking state and meditation and trying to drop the thoughts and all that and reaching that. Just to become aware of the knowledge. The knowledge is what? In sleep, we don't have this I notion. And I exist. That I existence is called as Atma. So by this analysis, what we prove is the world is nothing but the mind. And what is mind? Mind is nothing but the Atma, powered by Atma. So if these two verses are clear, verse number 7 and 8, you will come to realize that this whole world, which is we experiences as Dvaitam, plurality, is all nothing else but the mind with consciousness. Once I understand this whole world is pure consciousness, I get the knowledge that I am the pure Atma. This knowledge is what is called as Brahman. This knowledge is what is called as pure knowledge of myself. When I get this knowledge, and if I can remain in this knowledge throughout my life, that is called as Brahmanishtha, Atmanishtha. Nishtha means what? Firmness. Firmness in the knowledge that I am this pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is appearing as this world like a pure sun, light. When it goes through the prism, it comes out as 7 colors, Vibgyor. So similarly, the light of consciousness, when it goes through the mind prism, it becomes the entire world of 5 sense objects, the 5 sense organs, the 5 sense world. We see the form of human beings, different forms, different creatures, different, so many different species are there in the world. All these are nothing but name and form. We hear so many sounds, beautiful sounds of chirping birds. Ultimately, they are only sound. So many sounds of different music, Gujarati music, Dandiya Ras, Bharatnatyam music, this music, all music is nothing but except sound in different forms. Different tastes which we enjoy. So many navarasas we enjoy. So many tastes in our tongue. All of them is one basic taste which is created in the mouth. Different forms of touch, hard, soft, medium, different touch which we enjoy. Again, all of them are nothing but the sense of touch, which belongs to one of the elements. The sense of touch belongs to the air element in us. Okay, Now let's go to the ninth verse. The ninth verse teaches us the same, again, the same plurality. This world arises and sets with the I thought. Again, Ramana Maharshi is repeating to us the I notion is what creates the world for us. Therefore, this world is illumined by the I thought. The reality is the abode of the birth and death of the I thought. So, what he says first is that the world is created by the I thought. Then he says this I thought is created by the reality. The reality means it is Atma. And this Atma is without any birth or decay or death. This is the final message which he wants to deliver to us. Once I know that this pure consciousness is the ultimate thing in this entire universe, and that has no birth or death, then my search is complete. So from duality, from plurality, I'm coming to Advaita, which is non-plural, non-dual. It is one alone is. Mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. How do I understand whatever is Ramana Maharshi is saying in that? We are trying to build it up. We are trying to understand that statement which he has made. And what are the thoughts? The thoughts are good thoughts, the thoughts are bad thoughts, and the thoughts are indifferent thoughts. Indifferent thoughts means I am not, neither I am happy, neither I am sad. I am indifferent. I go through life as it comes, I go through life. I am not overjoyous when joyful situations come. I am not overtly unhappy or sorrowful when sad events come to me. That is what is known as indifferent. Equanimity, samatvam. That is what Krishna bangs us again and again in the Bhagavad Gita. One of the central themes of the Bhagavad Gita is samatvam. Be indifferent. Being indifferent doesn't mean that you are lazy. It is, and you are not bothered about anything. It is not that. It is samatva, equanimity. World rises with I thought. It sets with the I thought in sleep. World is illumined by I thought. The reality is the abode of birth and death of the I thought and the world. Reality means what? Reality means the Atma, the pure Sat principle, which Ramana Maharshi is trying to reveal to us. His analysis is very beautiful. If you have gone through up to verse number 9, if you have understood, the Saddarshanam is already revealed to you. It's a very, very beautiful, fantastic analysis of revealing the truth of the Upanishads in such a beautiful way. One complete without decay, death, or birth. That means this Sat principle is changeless. The I thought changes, but the I, Aham, Atma is changeless. It is what is called as, in technical language, it is called as Vivarta Upadana Karanam. That means it's a changeless cause of this entire universe, this Atma. And what is the I thought? It is a changing cause. Whenever the I thought comes, the world changes. So this I thought is the changing cause of the universe. Changing cause is called as, technically it is called as Parinami Upadana Karan. Okay, now I thought is endowed with what? It is endowed with the reflection of consciousness, which I've explained to you in the 8th verse and the 7th verse. I thought is nothing but the thought, pure consciousness, when it falls on the mind, on a mind which has woken up. In sleep, the mind is passive. But when we wake up, as soon as we wake up, that power of Atma hits the mind, and then it glows the mind. With that glow of the mind, the sense organs, they receive the energy. They receive this energy throughout the waking hours till we go back to sleep again. And the energy is provided by that pure Atma. Not only for you, for the whole world, for the entire world of beings. So many beings are there. So many species are there. Birds, animals, they also go to sleep. They also are woken up. Like us. They go to sleep, they wake up. The birds go to sleep in the night like us, and they wake up in the morning. They chirp in the morning at 5 o'clock, 5:30. They are also woken up by the same consciousness principle. Endowed with this reflection of consciousness is this thought of the world that is called as the idam thought. So now we are talking about three thoughts. One is the aham, which is the pure thought, which is only I. Then the I thought is the ahamkara thought, which is the thought in the mind. Then with this I thought rises the all other thoughts, which is called as the idam thought. Idam means the world of thought. A world comes into the mind. The world means house, book, pen, car, other people. All these are all idam. Idam means aham and idam. Now this aham thought, I notion, remains changeless in the mind throughout the vyavahara during the entire Jagrat state. The origin of this I thought is the aham. That is what is called as the Atma. That Atma is not born. It is ever there. It is a changeless principle, continuously is there. What is born is the body. Annamaya Kosha is born. The mind is always there, with body and without body. How will you prove this logically? Logically, we can prove it because in the sleep state, I am there without the mind in operation. In the dream state, I am with totally different world altogether. So we do take into consideration, and this particular point, you must understand that I exist without the body and mind. And the proof of that is, the logical proof is, I am existing in my sleep state as in my real form. And that same thing can be realized in the seat of meditation. How do we do that? In my mind, I drop all the attributes from the mind. The sense objects, the sense organs, the body. This is what is called as the Neti method used in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which is used in Nirvana Shatakam. That is what is called as going to the core of our personality. And what are the idam thoughts? What are the idam thoughts means? This thought. This thought means the thoughts of the objects which keep on changing. So what happens is we shift from the sound of the mantra to the thought and finally to the gap between two thoughts. The gap between two thoughts is nothing else but our own real nature, which is called as Atma. Suppose in the seat of meditation, you chant Om. You stop. Again, you chant Om. Again, you stop. Again, you chant Om. Again, you stop. If you stop in between and notice that you exist as pure consciousness without the sound of Om, that is called as Turiyam. That is called as the absolute state. That is called as the state of pure consciousness. Without the sound, Om. This is what is said. It reveals my Aham. Thoughts are disturbances only in that reality. In that pure consciousness, thoughts come and go. If in the seat of meditation, I am able to deliberately experience the gap between the two ohms, what happens in transactions later on is I am able to watch or able to acknowledge that gap even during when I am in total transactions. I'm extremely busy. My hands are working, my legs are working, but I am aware of that pure state of mind. This comes with abhyasa, it comes with practice. This is what happens at the ultimate stage of realization. This pure consciousness reveals itself as Aham. And once it reveals, you will come to know that that is my state because you have heard it in the Shravana. During listening to the scriptures, we come to know that there is something like this in the world. There is a Sat principle, there is a consciousness principle, there is a pure awareness principle. I learn about this principle during these sessions. Later on, what happens is my mind automatically starts contemplating. I heard about this Atma. What is this Atma? My mind starts contemplating. It starts analyzing the mind. When this happens, then the knowledge of Ahamkara and Aham, that difference starts coming into the mind. And slowly we come to realize this pure existence. So Ahamkara proves the existence of the mind and it proves the existence of the world. The I notion proves that there is something called as mind in this body. And there is something called as existence, which is a part, not a part of the world, but it is pure by nature. You may ask a question, is it possible for me to experience this existence on its own? When we ask this question, the answer is, it is not called as existence, experience, but it is called as knowledge. Whenever we say experience, we should remember experience is always with the mind. And mind means it is always comes with the body. So, Ahamkara can be experienced. Aham is Lakshyartha. Lakshyartha means what? Indicative. Indicative meaning of my nature. So in Mahavakya, what I do is I hold on to this indicative nature, which is the Lakshya, which is the indication of who I am. And what do I drop? I drop the Ahamkara, the ego I, the Ahamkara, which comes in the waking state, which goes off in the sleep state. I learn to drop this as not my real nature. And in Brihadanayaka Upanishad, Swayam Jyoti Brahmana, that particular section in that Upanishad says that the sleep state is nothing else but the state of moksha, mukti. Why is it a state of moksha? Because my ahamkara is banished. Through understanding, now in the waking state, I can know and realize that the sleep state is nothing else but my pure state of living. I exist in sleep state. That is what is my real nature. That nature never changes. Bodies change, minds change, but I don't change. I am immortal. That is the conclusion of how we derive immortality from our teachings. The real I is divisionless. Divisionless means it doesn't have any difference. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda, Rahitaha. This is in Sanskrit. I have explained these three terms when I have explained the nature of infinite. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in many other Upanishads, I have explained the same thing. Swagata Bheda means that consciousness doesn't have any difference internally in itself. There are no two consciousness. Sajatiya Bheda means there is no species called as consciousness. Man and man, there are differences, but consciousness and consciousness, there is only one. Sajatiya, there is no Jati Bheda. Vijatiya Bheda, tree and stone. In consciousness, there is nothing except itself. So there is no Vijatiya. There are no two species which exist in consciousness. It is all alone by itself. Therefore, it is non-dual. Non-dual means, it says in Kaivalya Upanishad, this verse I quote very, very often in all my talks. At least once I'll be quoting this verse. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishtitam, mai sarvam layam yati, tad brahma advayam asmi aham. That means I am that pure non-dual Atma. And Ahamkara is eternally its waking I. Yesterday also I was woken up. Today also I am woken up. 10 years ago I had a waking state. That Ahamkara, the I notion, I continues in all my waking state. Whereas the real I has got no state. It is stateless. The Ahamkara wants to eat nice food, it wants to feel nice things, it wants to touch different things, it wants to see, it wants to hear, it wants to listen music, it wants to enjoy so many things in this world. It is all the Ahamkara I. That I want is an eternal fact. It never changes. Throughout the day, I want this, I want that, I want this, I'm not happy with this, I'm always grumbling, I want better and better and better things in life. I want a better food, I want better living conditions, I want better office space. I always am looking for better and better. That means I want is always there. But who is this I if I start inquiring? That vichara, that inquiry leads me to this pure consciousness. And in pure consciousness, the Dvaitam merges in Sat. That means this entire world of plurality merges in one consciousness principle. And this Jagat which I see, the world which I see is nothing but Anatma. Anatma means it is not Atma. So this entire three verses, verse number 7, 8, and 9, they describe the I notion with reference to the plurality. The next verse teaches us what is the role of puja, japa. What is the role? What does it? Why are they recommended in the spiritual sadhana? So the role of this is, you must understand that this entire spirituality can be understood, this pure consciousness can be understood only when my mind is pure. And in order to make the mind pure, there are different sadhanas. Sadhana means discipline. So puja is one, japa is another one. There are different types of exercises which are designed by the scriptures. The puja and are all Agama Shastras. They have come from the Puranic stage. Before the Puranas were written, during the Vedic times, it was all yajnas. Yajna means fire ritual. Fire ritual means I learn to drop my I notion and learn to drop that I notion in the fire ritual. I am not na mama. We say Agniye Namaha. So the entire yajna is performed also for the sake of purifying the mind. So this verse teaches us the worship of names and forms of the Supreme. That means the Vishnu Sahasranamam, the Lalita Sahasranamam, all whatever we chant are to realize this vision of the truth, to abide in this truth, to abide in this reality. Last week, there was a question from one of the participants. What do you mean by abiding in the truth? Abiding means trying to remain with one thought in the mind, one thought. I am that pure consciousness. That is called as abidance. It is me alone is the vision of the entire truth. That one thought, if I learn to remain in that one thought, it is called as abidance. And what are the means, what are the methods to remain in that vision of the truth? It is nothing, what Ramana Maharishi says is, all the puja which we do at home, we do Ganesha puja, we do Devi puja, we do so many pujas. Some people, they get up at the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, they do puja till 5:30. 1.5 hours they spend every day for 25 years. I know people who are 80 years old, they have done it for 60, 80, 70 years of their life. Getting up 70 years in their life every day at 5 o'clock and doing puja continuously for 70 years, 1.5 hours. It has become a part of their life. And if you see, they have got a fantastic mind. That puja has given them equanimity in the mind. They may not have realized the Atma, but they are still enjoying a lovely life compared to the person who has not done puja or japa in life. What is japa? Japa means repetition of the name of the Lord, continuously repeating the same name. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayana. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Krishna Sharanam Mama. All these are all repetitions. According to the deity which you have, a guru will give you a japa. And he says, okay, suppose you like Muruga, Lord Muruga. He will give you one japa of Lord Muruga. Or if you like Vishnu, you like Devi, or you like any deity, Ganeshaya Namaha. You can choose any deity, and then you can just repeat the name, continuously repeat the name. It will give Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi means purity of mind. And why do we need this purity of mind? Like we need a car to go to the airport, like we need money to make us happy, comfortable in life. Japa and puja and parayanam, all this, even pranayama, people do. Pranayama is purely for chitta shuddhi, to purify the mind. But after doing pranayama, you must know what to do. If you don't know what to do, you have not completed the yoga exercise. Yoga is only complete when after you have learned to quieten the mind, and then you think of Atma. You learn to abide in Atma. That can only happen when you have listened to the scriptures. Through the listening of the scriptures alone, you will know there is an existence of Atma, which is Sat, which is pure consciousness, which is what we have seen from verse number 1 to 9 so far. There is a Sat principle. Pranayama is an exercise to quieten the mind. But after quietening the mind, you must have the scriptural knowledge to know the truth about yourself and to remain in abiding in that self. Many people, after a few years of study, they know what is Atma, but they can't realize the benefit of their knowledge because they don't know how to abide in that self. So that is what is called as Jnana Nishtha. Jnana Nishtha means firm abidance in the knowledge of the self. When the seeker becomes one with the sought, it is called as Saddarshanam. I, the meditator, I keep on meditating on Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. When I continuously chant in my meditation, Om Namah Shivaya, simple. It need not be a Gayatri Japa, which is a long chanting. It can be a simple one, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Krishnaya Sharanam Mama. Simple one, two line. When you repeat, what happens is, after some time, that sound drops. The sound of Namah Shivaya drops, and that silence which you experience in the end is called as Sat Darshan. That is what is called as Brahmanishta. And I learn through once I have experienced that, I try to bring that in my day-to-day living. Whenever I'm agitated, I remember that is my real state. This state in which I'm arguing with somebody for petty things, having small fights, small differences of opinions, these are all passing things. It will go away. They are all. It is just a way of living. But I know that is not my real nature. My real nature is that pure Sat. Sat is a vastu. It is only the reality which exists. That is the ultimate existence principle, consciousness principle. Vasati iti vastu. Trikale api tishtati. The definition of Sat is it exists in 3 periods of time. It existed in the past, it exists now, it will exist in the future. Therefore, identifying with that Sat, pure Atma, I can say I am immortal. That state is called as the state of wisdom. And it is acquired through the knowledge of Ahamkara, through the knowledge of dropping the Ahamkara, inquiry of Ahamkara. The state of experience is the knowledge of the object. There is no subject-object division. That Anubhava, experience, is replaced by knowledge of Atma. There are 2 wonderful verses in the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 8 and 9 of chapter 5, which describes the nature of Atma as Advaitam. Most of you who have done the Gita know these verses. In the next slide, I will show you the 2 verses. The state of knowledge is what? It is experience without the subject and object division, which is that Sat pure consciousness principle. And it is acquired through knowledge of Mahavakya. Mahavakya states Tatvamasi. That pure consciousness is the state of the entire universe, is the substratum of the universe. That knowledge is what gives me the abidance. It gives me to remain firm. It never gets displaced. The knowledge never gets displaced by experience. Can you give me an example? Sunrise is an experience for all of us. But through science, we come to know science never rises. It is the earth which rises. So the experience continues, but the knowledge never gets displaced. So the experience of anatma continues. All the experiences of the body, mind continues, but the knowledge that I am the Atma is always remembered by me. It's exactly like my phone number. Somebody asks me, what's your phone number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rattle it out. Do I remember constantly that this is my number, this is my number, this is my number? No. It's always existing in your mind. Similarly, the knowledge of Atma, I am that pure consciousness, is available for retrieval. It is there in the database. It is there in the Atma. It is there in the pure consciousness. You can withdraw it. We can retrieve it whenever you want. So at times of sorrow or times of dukkham, what you do is retrieve that Atma knowledge. I can only retrieve if it has already gone in. If the knowledge is not there, like a lay person, for example, he doesn't have the capacity to retrieve that knowledge. You and I can have the capacity, the ability to retrieve that knowledge. These are the two verses which I was saying. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrinvan spishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shasan pralapan visrajan unmishan napi indriyani indriyatheshu vartante iti dharaya. All the activities of the sense organs, the sense objects, the jnana indriyas, the karma indriyas, all these are going on during the waking state. And it is only the interaction between the sense organs and the sense objects. Atma remains effortless. That is the knowledge which I gather. The ahamkara, I conditions, the I notion, it requires conditions of the body, mind. Without the body and mind, I exist as Atma. There's a beautiful verse in the 15th verse of the 12th chapter in the Gita. Yasman no duchate lokaha loka no duchate yachaya harsha marsha bhadvaigai mukto yo sachamai priyaha. These are the in the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna says that there are values. These are the values of a jnani. The jnani is not affected by the world. And he cannot be affected, he cannot be affecting the world also. He is not agitated by the world, he does not agitate the world. He is free from the joy, he is free from envy, he is free from fear, anxiety. Such a jnani is dear to me, Lord Krishna says. And in the 9th chapter of the Gita, the 2nd verse, the Lord says, Raja Vidya Raja Gohyam Pavitram Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartamavyayam. This knowledge is very easy to learn. It's very easy because it is me, myself. It is talking, the Atma is nothing but it is me, my knowledge about myself. So for a one whose mind is prepared, the knowledge is easy. Like for a Nepali person from Nepal, he can walk up and down the Mount Everest, but for me, I can't even sit down and get up. So for a prepared person, it's easy. Therefore, japa, puja are all preparations for the jnana. What is unprepared mind? Mind which is with attachment, anger, delusion, desires, is not ripe. Therefore, puja is recommended. Different disciplines are recommended. If you are not sure what I should do in life in terms of sadhanas, disciplines to purify my mind, you can call me. I can try to help. Or you can consult any other elder person who is a jnani. So a mind which is without discrimination between real and unreal, without vairagyam, is called as unprepared mind. To those unprepared minds, puja is an indirect means of knowledge. But the direct means is inquiry. Inquiry into what is this I notion. So this verse discusses the role of bhakti, Ishta Devata, Puja, Japa, Parayanam for the purification of Ahamkara, the mind. With this, we'll close for today. Next week, we'll continue with the 11th verse. So we have finished 10 verses out of 44. Very beautiful text. If you don't miss a particular session, if you miss, try to see the video of the session before you come to the next, so that you can see the continuity. In this session, I have explained to you all the verses from 1 to 10. In the initial phase, I explained all the 6 verses. From 7 to 10, we have taken up in this session. So 10 verses are over. If you have not understood, revise these 10 verses at your leisure, whenever you have the free time, so that when you come next time to the 11th verse, you are ready to the next stage of the discussion on the I notion. We'll close with the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Do you have any questions? Let me see the chat. If there is any questions, there are 4. Amiyanchu is saying, Ahamkara is required to carry out vyavahara or transactions in the world. At the same time, one should remain aware of the mithyatma or the same. Please clarify if my understanding is correct. Yes, you are 100% correct. So Amiyanshu, your understanding is clear, and you must, while doing the transactions, it may be difficult to say it is mithya, but whenever there is some sorrowful situations, you must remember the fact that it is mithya. Don't become too serious, don't become too anxious, too concerned, and you solve the problems when there are situations. You deal with the situations as they come. What the study will do is, when you are facing any situations, how to handle it. With this knowledge, you will be absolutely clear in your mind, and you will excel in your actions. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. Samatvam yoga yuchyate. You will be in yoga, you will be in practice of karma yoga, and you will excel in your actions. Balashankar Iyer from Chennai, he says, to live in this world, we have to use Vyavahara Drishti. Yes, you're right. which at times is without sattva guna. That is also correct because the gunas keeps on changing. Sometimes it is sattva, sometimes suddenly it becomes rajas, and then it becomes tamas also. It is the nature of maya, the maya shakti, which is our mind. We have to use vyavaharika drishti, which at times is without sattva-guna. Okay, we have to use at times without sattva-guna. I mean practically way. Um, okay, what you are asking is what needs to be done to remain in the I state, in the sat state, or the pure consciousness all the time while we are awake? Okay, good question. See, this sat, this abiding, this is the question is directly is how do I abide in myself throughout my life, throughout my waking life, waking state? How do I learn to live as the pure consciousness? The answer to this is only one. It comes only by practice and by constantly listening to the scriptures more and more. The more you listen to the scriptures, this thought that I am Atma will sink in into your subconscious mind. When it sinks into your subconscious mind, then this abidance becomes easy. It happens in two ways. Either you practice meditation and do japa and all that, but don't worry if you're not meditating, doesn't matter. 99% of the people don't meditate. But they are in constant nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means they keep on listening. The more shravanam we do, it will result in mananam. Mananam means reflection, and that reflection will lead to abidance. Constantly just keep listening more and more, keep listening, this will happen. It is an automatic process which happens to all of us. As we listen more, this becomes better and better. So with Shama from London, she says, with Saddarshanam, we are finally able to play, act in the life, in the world as an expert, good actor. Very good, that's correct. You are wearing the dress of Ahamkara. You must remember that. I'm playing my role with no conflict. Absolutely right. You have understood extremely well, Shama, well done. And I think the role play is what is the essence. Ahamkara is a role play. Oh, Uma from Singapore, she's asking, the kara in Ahamkara is coming from what word? What does it mean? See, kara in Tamil means it's spicy, karam. So when the aham becomes karam, that means it becomes very spicy. That means that aham, that pure aham, when it becomes diluted and it transacts in the world, it gets a lot of superimpositions. Superimposition means the same pure I, it becomes bloated I, ego I. Ahamkara means it is a dress. It is a vesham. It's a dress which I am wearing in order to fulfill my duties in life. You may be a mother, you may be a wife, you may be a daughter, you may be a sister. So you are doing duties. In order to do the duties, you wear the dress. That is what is called as the kara. The kara means it is a suffix which is added to the aham. It becomes ahamkara. Ahamkara means the doer, enjoyer, the karta, the bhokta. So that is what means ahamkara. It is a dress. Like what Shama said, it is a dress which I wear for my transactions. Then I think that's all we have in the chat. Shama has a question. Shanmugam, can you unmute everybody so that they can ask? Yeah, Shama, you wanted something?
Yeah, just a small question, it's a technical thing which I just want a clarification. One is when we say manaha, that is to do with emotions, and when we say buddhi, that is to do with intellect. Is that right?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Manaha means emotions, and buddhi means the intellectual discriminating faculty.
This faculty.
And intellect, and also the buddhi is also the faculty which says I am a doer or enjoyer.
Okay. And the second question is, once we are, I'm assuming, once we are in the state of Brahmanishtam,
Yes.
And we have established ourselves into that state, then in the Vyavaharika transactions, do the emotions still trouble, or they don't, they just cease?
They cease. Their emotions, they absolutely cease, because they don't trouble a jnani. You see, for you and me, don't know, therefore the emotions, they trouble us. You see, they trouble us means I keep on remembering the emotions and I keep on worrying about those emotions. That worrying faculty jnani doesn't have at all.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that he's an unemotional person. Suppose he meets you and you are happy, he will not be like a rock sitting in front of you and not smiling,
That's what I meant. For example, if the person comes across like if somebody has died or somebody is in a death experience.
Yes, he will experience the sorrow, but he will not identify with that sorrow himself.
Thank you.
He will be sorrowful for you. He'll have pity. He'll have compassion.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else has any other questions?
I just wanted to add what Shama would say.
Yeah.
That all these troubles, at that time we will also be there. At that time we will also be there. Only thing, it will not affect us at all.
Yes. You will do what you will have to do. Suppose that you are in a sorrowful situation, you will do exactly what you have to do in order to help that person, but you will not identify with that as yourself. That it makes a big difference, because you know that this is a situation of the mind. It is not the reality. Like you said earlier, this is all mithya.
Right.
That knowledge helps. This knowledge of mithyatvam helps you. That's all.
Right.
Very good. I'm glad that both of you are able to link the what you have studied in today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shama.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any other question?
No problem.
Yeah, we were done today.
I want to ask you this question.
Yeah, Chandra.
The vasanas that we have,
Yeah.
slowly, whether it belongs to Jiva or Ahamkara.
It belongs to the Ahamkara, but the Ahamkara is the Jiva in the waking condition.
Oh, I see.
But in the sleep condition, the Jiva is Paramatma.
The other way around.
Yeah, in the sleep condition, he is one with Paramatma. So that Jiva doesn't have any vasanas.
Jiva has no vasana in the sleeping state.
Yes, whereas in the waking state, he is identified with the mind.
The
Jiva. The Jiva identified with the mind becomes, identified with the I notion becomes the Ahankara.
Oh, that means he plays two roles, no?
Exactly. He plays two roles, but he doesn't know that Chandra doesn't know that I am playing two roles. When I am in my sleep state, I am with God.
Oh, I see. So
Then
it's one and the same person.
When I come into the body, next day morning, I'm playing the role of a Jiva, wife, daughter, mother, sister, all that comes in.
Yes.
So this is ignorance.
Yes, ignorance. This is pure ignorance.
Okay.
The moment the ignorance goes away, you're one. That's all. You're always that. What the scriptures are teaching us is, this is not my, what I'm this. I'm attending a class. I'm learning this. These are all incidental.
Yeah, right.
It is incidental. Tomorrow morning, this class is gone.
Yeah.
So this class. So this is all mithya. It comes and goes. But my real nature is always that pure consciousness.
Okay.
I hold on to that as my real nature, and then I can become immortal.
All right.
I am ever pure. I am ever Atma. I am ever always with God. God's nature and my nature is the same, because it is the same pure consciousness, pure existence.
Correct.
Very good. Chandra, I'm glad that you're thinking, and you're able to put all this knowledge into practice.
Thank you.
Shekharji, I have a question, if I could go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Vijay?
See, you explained today that see the original consciousness, which is becomes a reflected consciousness, plus the medium, which is called the mind.
Yeah.
It's the Jivahood, isn't it?
That's correct.
Right now. So this, and we also said that unless this mind becomes purified and subtle, we will not be able to see through the pierce the veil of reflected consciousness to be able to experience the original consciousness or the Atmic state.
Agree. Yes, that's correct.
Right? Which means the same mind I am supposed to be dropping to be able to equate Jiva, Paramatma, Aikita, whatever we call.
Yeah.
The RC becomes OC when I'm dropping the medium.
Yes.
Same medium, actually I'm purifying too, to be able to see. So that the mind actually plays here a double role of kind of using the same mind. It's like removing a thorn with a thorn.
Yes, you're right.
Same mind to purify the same mind.
Yes.
And then cross over the adhyasas, cross over the Chidabhasa and reach the Atmic state, and then drop the mind after that, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Like the pole vaulter, the pole vaulter drops the pole itself to reach the other side.
Okay.
So
now,
the pole stands for the mind. You drop that mind which was used to climb up to that height.
Yeah.
Once you're at that height, you learn to drop. Only by knowledge you can drop it.
Yeah. Now, if this is a context of a Jivan Mukta who has already realized that state, but still is in the Vyavaharika world, and he will have to use his Ahamkara for this practical purposes as sustenance level in the world, and he will still be using the mind, isn't it? So how does he use this mind?
Good, very good question. This is what is called as Jivan Mukti.
Enlightened person,
Yeah, this is very, very beautifully explained in the, you are a student of Vivek Chodamani, so I can talk to you with respect to Vivek Chodamani. So in Vivek Chodamani, there are beautiful verses of Jivan Mukta status. And in those Jivan Mukta status of Vivek Chodamani, you will see, if you revise those verses, you will understand what I'm trying to say now. I can tell you in a short way. But these are all descriptions of the Jivan Mukta. If you revise verse number 427 of the Vivek Chodamani from 427 to 442, those verses 427 to 442. If you revise those verses, if you go through verse by verse, you will understand the state of the Jivan Mukta extremely well. Shankaracharya is brilliant in his commentary in these verses. He has described beautifully. And my notes on these verses from 427 to 442 will be put up in the website. My website will be coming in about roughly about 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I will probably finish the entire Vivek Chodamani. But in the gist of the answer is this: the moment I start knowing that I am this Jiva in the Vyavaharika state, the main thing we have to only remember is this is a Vesham. This is a dress. This is a temporary dress I am using to conduct the life of the body, which is as per the law of karma. So number one is you should know that in the Vyavaharya, I have the knowledge already. I am Atma. I am Brahmanishta. I know that I am Atma. But I still experience this. After the knowledge of the Atma also, I still experience my body. I still experience my mind. And this is what is called as the Jivan Mukti status, where the mind has to still go through the prarabdha karma till it finishes, then only it becomes Videha Mukti. But while living, I am free. That is what is called as a Jivan Mukti status, that is described in those verses which I just now told you. I can go through those verses, but it will take a long time. But I recommend you go through my notes. It's very well written notes on those Jivan Mukta. This thing, if you're really keen, I will probably send it to you in a short form or something within, say, 2-3 weeks. I'm in the process of writing it, but in simple is that as a Jivan Mukta, your Ahamkara becomes weaker. It doesn't have the same poison which it had before the Jnana. So this Ahamkara is a roasted, like you yourself were saying a few weeks back, it becomes roasted. It is no longer poisonous Ahamkara. It will not cause Sukham and Dukkham for you as it was causing like before. It will do its duty. It will fulfill the role of the whatever it has to do, it will fulfill till the end of the breath in the body. So the difference is of the knowledge. Your ignorance is gone of who you are, but you are a Jivan Mukta, means you know all the time while living itself that I am that pure consciousness, I am that pure self. That pure self has got is not affected at all by the Vyavahara in the world. The mind cannot affect Atma. That is the ultimate knowledge you have. And you will be able to, your body and mind will become so light, you will enjoy the world. You will really enjoy being free from the throngs of your mind. Your mind was what was creating all the sorrows, all the obstacles, all the agitations in you. But after this knowledge, your mind becomes very light. You feel as if you're floating. Your days are just passing. And it's a wonderful feeling, And like I said, these are very beautifully described by Shankaracharya himself. So please go through those Vivek Chodamani verses, because you are, have you gone through that so far, or you have not reached so far in that?
No, I have not reached thus far. No.
Okay, all right. Doesn't matter. When you reach that, or like I said, within 1 or 2 months, I will have 108 verses of the Vivek Chodamani, the notes which I'm writing. I will have it in the website. If, remind me to send it to you maybe in about 2 months' time. I'll have it. I can send it to you. You go through these verses, and they are fantastic descriptions of a Jivan Mukta.
Thank you.
High equanimity they will have.
Can I sum up my understanding of this?
Yeah, go ahead.
3 takeaways. One thing is, in the instance of a Jivana Mukta, his Vasana Kshaya has happened.
Yes.
And so there is no Sankalpa. He is Sankalpa Varjita. Hence,
yes.
Mind is not used for any desires of his own.
Yes.
So, number 2, he would equate, there is no separate Jeeva Srishti or Idam. It is only equal Srishti. So there is no Vedas as you explained in him.
Yes.
When he looks at the Srishti by the Lord, which is
Yes.
the Swagata Swajatiya Vijatiya.
Yes.
But 3 is, he will not have vasanas. That means prarabdhas, asanchita and agami is no more there.
Zero.
As far as prarabdha is concerned, he will lead it with titiksha till the prarabdha gets over or he leaves the body. That's
Yes. Perfect. You understood Jivan Mukta. I think you don't need anything else. And the last thing you should remember is he will have samatvam. He or she will have samatvam in life, equanimity.
The equanimity they will have.
You will never get perturbed. You will never get agitated in life. You will learn to live pure life as it comes. You will have an equanimity. That is the samatvam is your forte then.
Sitoshna Subudukese
Yes.
Samasanga Vivijita.
Yes. Well done, Vijaya. Very good. These are fantastic, well understood from the teaching of what you have learned so far. Anybody else has anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, and good night, everybody.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekhar ji.
Thank you. Bye.